his Slovenian bride doesn't care what he did. But according to the guy that they got caught in that, who said a lot of things are trying to be real. Very interesting.
Why wouldn't he just take one of those boner pills? Don't those work well?
He doesn't take drugs because of his brother, you know?
But he takes Propecia. That's a drug.
Well, but they don't get you high.
I mean, Propecia, but
Get you low, it sounds like.
boner pills don't get you high. They're originally for your heart.
I have no clue, honestly. It's all very strange to me, but
so I put that Topic spray in. It fills it. It makes your hair look way thicker than it is.
Yeah, I did
but
that
my
for
hair's,
TV. They would do it.
Yeah, on TV. That's where I learned it. But my hair's getting so thin that now you're able to see the Topic on my scalp. It's like what? So I have to keep my hair short on top. Anyway,
I wouldn't even bother with it. Or you want to grow your hair long? Like
I don't even know why I give a shit. I don't know why.
I mean, talk about having a good run of hair.
I think because it's my last defense against feeling as old as I am. Kathy Ladman has so many funny jokes about getting older. I saw her at the Comedy Magic Club. I heard she did. Who's the guy with the Tonight Show now? What's his name?
Not Jimmy Kimmel. Fallon?
No, Fallon. She did Fallon recently.
Oh, no kidding.
I remember when she's 68. I remember 28 years ago, she went up in Los Angeles at the Improv at an Omnipop industry showcase. And she said, I recently turned 40. And the place applauded for her. Oh, what courage to say it. She's just going to say it at an industry showcase. Look, now she's 68.
Well, I mean, in
she
terms of the industry,
pretty,
that probably is like the bravest.
That was brave, actually. I know, it's funny.
In the circumstances, it probably is.
Yes.
In Hollywood, dudes lie about their age. I know men that don't want to. I go, how old are you? They don't want to say. I'm like, are you kidding? Are you a man?
I wanted to do. They found out those guys who did that. The I'm a man for Kamala Harris. I eat carburetors for breakfast. They found out who wrote that. It was a Jimmy Kimmel writer wrote it. I'm guessing he probably directed it too. I don't know. And all those guys, of course, were actors. They completely looked like actors. We all knew they were actors. No, because men don't. They were talking the way gay men think macho alpha males talk.
Yeah,
that's how they talk. It came off smacked as that's what it's smacked. And one of them actually does gay porn. The black guy in that actually has done gay porn.
Oh, he has a very close relationship with the Obamas as well.
Yeah. I wonder if he's going to do some naked paddleboarding.
He knows what kind of donuts he likes. The weirdest thing about that, I can understand some hack writer from Kimmel, because I'm sure Kimmel has cleared out anybody that was any good at it, or they quit on their own accord. I knew people that, he's been around for years, so I knew people that wrote for him. They're not there no more. I don't know who's there now, but I can see that guy doing that. What I don't get is why CNN was promoting it as if he did a great job, and it was like an ad that was changing. And I'd like to apologize to that Bud Light lady, because she was way more in touch and her thing was way more successful. Okay? Shane Gillis is promoting Bud Light now. That's how that ended up. You think Kamala Harris is going to win from that? No.
Shane Gillis has a contract with Bud Light?
He's on all their commercials. All the dudes from Tires are on it. He loves Bud Light.
All the dudes from what?
Tires, Shane show.
Oh, he's got a show called Tires?
Yeah, it's a good show.
I don't know shit. Great. I'm so out of touch. I don't know anything.
That show Tires, if you want to watch a show, that's actually a great goddamn show. Really fun, really funny dude. And
how come you're not on it? Who's on it?
I don't know. I don't care now that you said how come
Andrew Schultz is on it.
I'm just thinking about why I'm not on it. Why
aren't you on it?
Well, that's a great question. Well, I'm too busy.
Fuck that. I'd settle for an invitation to Andrew Schultz's show. What?
Really?
It's popular, isn't it? It's very popular. Trump did it.
Isn't your show? Well, that's pretty big.
Trump did it.
Your show has a lot of viewers. I wouldn't.
Yeah, we get about 22 million viewers a month. It's not bad. I'm just saying it'd be nice to do comedy. All my shitlib friends in Hollywood, they stopped inviting me on their shows in 2016.
Yeah, like I have no
So
feelings
Andrew
about doing
Schultz,
anybody's stupid fucking show. I root for a lot of shows, and I got to tell you, it's a lot of fucking work. And when you stack up the money, unless it really isn't as good as you could do yourself. It really isn't. You know?
Gutfeld. I thought I did his show like in 2012. I thought for sure he would reach out to me and invite me on his show. I don't know what to do. And I've tried.
Well,
There's
maybe adjust your attitude about Israel.
oh, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Well, what I mean, wouldn't they want
Fox News.
Wouldn't they want to bring me on so they could pillory me over Israel,
No.
Gaza?
No.
Call
No,
me a Hamas
no.
supporter and shit like that.
He's not going to do that. It's still platforming. Listen, Israel's in a fight for its life, Jimmy. You saw Michael Rappaport.
I had somebody. I did. I had somebody. I was doing Primo Radical show, and he asked me, you know, Jimmy, would you have someone on? Would you? Is there anybody you wouldn't interview? Like, I guess Jake Shields interviewed that Nick Fuentes guy.
Oh, never interview him.
And he,
Never.
but wait, and he said somehow my name came up, and so Primo says, "Would you be willing to interview someone like Nick Fuentes?" And I said, "Well, first of all, I'm not making it up. I know almost nothing about Nick Fuentes, but number two, I would gladly interview someone like Kamala Harris or Joe Biden, Donald Trump, or Benjamin Netanyahu. I would love to interview Benjamin. And that guy's literally slaughtering children and babies right now. So if I'd be willing to platform Benjamin Netanyahu, and everybody in the country would, there's nobody that's off limits. No, I would put anybody on my show. If you're willing to interview Benjamin Netanyahu, which is the Hitler of our time, there's nothing off. There's not. Why would anybody?
Well,
why would anybody
why.
be?
I'll tell you why. Because we had Max Blumenthal on here, who was readily describing what glowy ass Nick was doing. Who was that candidate that was running there? Nick purposely went and stood by him to get his picture taken to screw up the guy's candidacy. Remember that?
Yeah, but I could bring that up. You know what I mean? I'm just saying if I didn't, I'm just saying no one's off. There might be a reason why I personally might not want
someone
to.
Someone like him, certainly. A gay guy, absolutely, but not him. Someone like him, for sure, but not him.
But yeah, I'm just saying there might be there's lots of reasons why I don't bring certain people on, and it's not because I'm afraid to platform them. It's because
Why would you be afraid? First of all, if you, I love the reverse. Like your show's bigger than any of. Here's the real bottom line. We live in America, so here's how it works. Of course, Netanyahu, that's a lot of clout at the end of the day. So it doesn't take anything away from you to platform Netanyahu. But these kind of people that like their whole thing is to get next to someone bigger than them and draw blood from them like a mosquito, no, don't have them on. It's ironic that Fuentes talks so much shit on Jews because he is kind of a bloodsucker.
Well, he
talks all this shit, and he's like a guy whose job it is to suck the life out of shit. I'm sure he's paid for by somebody. He don't like what he does.
I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know what he does. I don't have time
Kino
to look
Casino,
into it.
If anybody wants to scoop, Kino Casino has tons of great stuff about it. Even more in depth than Max Blumenthal, who's the first guy to tell me that Nick was urging people into the Capitol on January 6th with a megaphone. And I later saw the footage of it. I heard it described by Max. Anya Parampel said she saw it. Kino Casino showed the video of it. And yeah, screw that glowy. Having him on is like having a purposeful agent on who wants to has no good intentions. It's not to hear their ideas. They're an agitator that's on purpose.
Who was that guy, Ray Epps, right? I would have Ray Epps on. Wouldn't you like to interview Ray Epps?
Yes, I would. But to my knowledge, Ray Epps was not covering up for pedophiles in his organization.
Okay.
I mean, could you be any more Catholic? Holy shit. Man.
So, but I do have one hard and fast rule that I've been able to stick to so far is that I don't, you know how I've had people who make incendiary false statements about me in hopes that I'll bring them on the show to.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, it doesn't work. So when you make incendiary false, and I made this rule, this started in 2016, 2017. I realized this. There was someone who was talking shit about me, and it was And I was telling this to a friend of mine. And I said, did you see what Joe Smith said? All this Joe Smith. And I went on to like this 5-minute thing and how fucking bullshit it was and how I was. And I said to my friend, I go, what do you think of that? My friend goes, who's Joe Smith? And I was like, oh.
That's right. And that's a normal thing that would happen with a normal person. However, when somebody is an agent provocateur, they're not going to say false. They're going to say things you agree with. His group is called America First. He's going to say things that sound reasonable. And because he's a piece of shit, your MSNBCs and your Maddows are going to go, see, you're on the same team. That's what the guy's purpose is. Not to say lies, to say things that are true and then smear the truth by being associated with it. Do you understand?
Yeah, I understand that. I understand what you're saying. So anyway, so that's been my heart. So there's been a few people and recently that I would have liked to have brought on my show, actually. One in particular, I would love to have brought on, but they did that tactic of saying the most incendiary bullshit thing about me in order to get my attention and thinking that would make me want to bring them on. It's the exact opposite. If you would have you know what? You catch more flies with honey than you do with shit. And
I don't know who's telling people this is a good way.
But it didn't get from me. It worked. It worked.
Twitter responses.
Brianna Joy Gray. It worked for her. Cenk Uygur said she called her every fucking name in the book, and she went on his show. She said
she's voting Democrat, ain't she?
No, she's voting Jill Stein. She's thinking. I say good for Brianna. There's a lot of, I don't agree with everybody on anything. There's a lot of things, but it's like I'll join with anybody to do good and nobody to do bad or something like that. And
yeah, right. Well, I think the system's all fake and it's covering for child traffickers and pedovores, not pedophiles, pedovores. That's people that eat kids. So that's where I'm at. So I don't give a fuck about any of this fucking election. It's fake. Why does anybody believe in it? Why does anyone still believe in it? It couldn't be more fake and more in the open fake. And every day more evidence comes out about it. And yet people still cling to the idea that it's going to be better with one or the other. Well, okay, it'll be less bad than if the Kamala deep state.
Oh, man. You can't believe what I saw. I saw an interview with that Peter Dow guy, right? That guy who used the hitman for the Clinton campaign. And then Jill Stein pretended she didn't know who he was and hired him to run Cornel West's campaign. Maybe she knew it would take his campaign. Maybe that's why. Anyway, I think now that I think about it,
he didn't want to run. She said in her words, he didn't want to run. I said, you got to run. So that means he's in trouble for whatever his problems are, his personal problems. He's got to run to do the same trick as Bernie the last time. I believe that crazy Bernie story going around on Twitter 100%, because you will never get near any power unless you are either controlled in the program or blackmailed in the program. That's our country.
Well, obviously Bernie's been blackmailed.
Yeah. So this is a fake system. It don't matter. Look, people are like,
now, I don't know what the blackmail is, but he's obviously. But let me get back to my point. Yeah. Now so this guy, I saw that Peter Dow guy saying that. He actually made a good point, which I'm going to incorporate into when I talk about it. He said, you can't vote for Kamala Harris because if you do, you're rewarding her for doing a genocide in Gaza, for slaughtering children. You can't do that. And someone said, well, Trump might be worse. And then what I say is, what is Trump going to do? Dig up the dead babies and kill them again? But right. he said if Trump does the same policy, then we protest him. And and then he stole a line from me, or he repeated a line I've used. I'm not saying he stole it. He said at least you have a better chance of Democrats protesting if Trump's doing it. Democrats aren't going to say shit when
that's actually a great point.
That's the point I've been making forever. That we're actually
should steal it and say it. That's a great point. That should be heard. It should be heard by a lot of people. That's actually a great point. Because
Democrats will be outraged by genocide if it's a Republican doing it, but they won't be if it's a Democrat.
You guys see this rapper Lord Jamar from Brand Nubian said he calls them radical Democrats, not radical leftists. They're not radical leftists. They are radical Democrats, and that's literally what these people are. It's like being like a Yankees fan combined with brain damage where you're like, that's my team and I'm with them no matter. So when RFK defects after they screw him over, people go, how could he leave the Democratic Party? All they did was, you won't go back to the church that molests you? That's crazy.
So I got a couple of things I wanted to show quickly after my 10-minute bullshit session with Kurt.
Yeah.
I wanted to show J.D. Vance went on ABC this week. And if there's something I like to see is for someone to put a corporate journalist in their place, especially a propagandist, and they all are. So if you're employed by a corporate news show, your job is to do propaganda. You're there to manufacture consent, and that's what they do. And so J.D. Vance, again, a guy who I agree with on some things, disagree with on others, he is going to put her in her place. Watch this. So I guess Trump has recently, Trump's Mr. Hyperbole. And so you know how those Venezuelan gangs, they had taken over a couple of apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado. That happened. So
Yeah.
Trump went and said, they're taking over the whole city, right? And of course,
Did he actually say that, or that's the gist of what people
I
took
think
from
that
it?
I think I could see him saying it. I don't, but that's what they're saying. He said.
Right.
And
yeah.
so
he
Martha,
didn't say it, is
so
what that means.
ABC News Tool is going to say that that's wrong, and even the Republican mayor is saying that's wrong. Well, watch how J.D. Vance pushes back against this.
Understand what you're saying, that some people left behind, but he's making these statements that the mayor is flat out disputing.
Well, Martha, you just said the mayor said they were exaggerated.
Grossly exaggerated.
That means there's got to be some element of truth here. And of course, President Trump was actually in Aurora, Colorado, talking to people on the ground. And what we're hearing, of course, Martha, is that people are terrified by what has happened with some of these Venezuelan gangs.
Senator Vance, I'm going to stop you because I know exactly what happened.
Martha.
I'm going to stop you. The incidents were limited to a handful of apartment complexes, and the mayor said our dedicated police officers have acted on those concerns.
So now, she's repeating what a politician said, as if it's fact without her fact checking it.
As if it fixes the thing to say that.
Except J.D. Vance catches it.
But also, I just want to add that she says a handful.
Well, that's what J.D.
Okay.
Vance watch.
A handful of problems.
A handful.
Only, Martha, do you hear yourself? Only a handful of apartment complexes in America were taken over by Venezuelan gangs, and Donald Trump is the problem and not Kamala Harris's open border. Americans are so fed up with what's going on, and they have every right to be. And I really find this exchange, Martha, sort of interesting because you seem to be more focused with nitpicking everything that Donald Trump has said rather than acknowledging that apartment complexes in the United States of America are being taken over by violent gangs. I worry so much more about that problem than anything else here. We've got to get American communities in a safe space again. And unfortunately, when you let people in by the millions, most of whom are unvetted, most of whom you don't know who they really are, you're going to have problems like this. Kamala Harris, 94 executive orders that undid Donald Trump's successful border policies. We knew this stuff would happen. They bragged about opening the border, and now we have the consequences, and we're living with it. We can do so much better, but frankly, we're not going to do better, Martha, unless Donald Trump calls this stuff out. I'm glad that he did.
Okay, let's just end that with they did not invade or take over the city, as Donald Trump said.
They took over a handful of apartments, and that's a handful too many. There should be zero. Here's how many Venezuelan gangs should illegally come in and take over apartments. None. We have plenty of murderers here to take over apartments. You're busting them in. So that shows you their attitude towards you, the regular person.
That's exactly right. Look, she says that it's only a handful of apartments.
Fuck me then if I'm in that apartment, I guess.
Well, if somebody took her parking spot at the studio, she'd be flipping out and making phone calls, let alone someone taking over her apartment that she lives in.
Not even a handful of parking spots, just her spot. There would be hell to pay.
What is the USDA daily minimum allowance amount of apartment buildings being taken over by Venezuelan gangs? So watch how she ends it.
I want to move on to
just a few apartment complexes, no big deal.
A few apartment complexes that the mayor did not seem was invading the entire city. Let's move on to women and abortion.
Hey, I think JD Vance just became likable in that clip to me.
Yes.
And I thought he was weird. I heard he smokes pot, and that might mean he's not under mind control because if you study the program, they didn't want anybody smoking weed because it interferes with the mind control. And it leads to saying stuff like he just said to this dingbat on Disney's ABC.
I think that was very telling, very revealing of a corporate news tool, Martha Raddatz. It's only a handful of, but wasn't the whole city?
Oh, well,
So
screw
that-
them then.
so-
I guess
oh.
they're like Iraqi civilians or all the other civilians of all of our freedom train wars we have. It's only a few.
Here's what, watch this. How utterly humiliating for her. Hey, Martha, 9/11 was only a couple of buildings in New York City. There are so many buildings there. Why did we get worked up over just a handful of buildings? When the news declared America was under attack, did you quickly jump to correct them and clarify that no, America's under attack, just a handful of buildings?
There's only two. It's not even a full handful.
Well, there's three. I
Just
wonder.
these two fingers here.
I wonder if Martha Raddatz would feel differently if it was her apartment complex invaded by Venezuela. She would feel differently if it was her parking spot.
Okay, I know she was. You know what? Yeah, 100%. 100%. And we know on a larger sense they would. This is when my friend texted me about the Haitian cats and dogs thing, as if that's the most pressing thing, not all of the other stuff. Remember they were shipping the illegal immigrants to Martha's Vineyard?
Yes. And they're like, we can't
have this here.
We can't have
This
this.
is a stunt.
Yes.
What is this, a stunt? Okay, so it's okay for everybody but you, bitch, right? That's how it works.
That's it. That's how it works. So here's what Greg is snacking says. He says, silly J.D. Vance. Everybody knows that Venezuelan gangs need to occupy 5 to 10 more apartment complexes to officially be considered a problem by people like masterclass mental gymnast Martha Raddatz. Well said. So I just wanted to show everybody that and show.
That's unbelievable that she said. I mean, why is it unbelievable? No, it isn't. What am I saying?
It's only.
I should have.
She really wanted to make that point. It's only a handful. I want to show. Let me show it again. Actually, I want to
Understand what you're saying, that some people left behind, but he's making these statements that the mayor is flat out disputing.
Well, Martha, you just said the mayor said they were exaggerated.
Grossly exaggerated.
That means there's got to be some element of truth here. And of course, President Trump was actually in Aurora, Colorado, talking to people on the ground. And what we're hearing, of course, Martha, is that people are terrified by what has happened with some of these Venezuelan gangs.
Senator, I'm going to stop you because I
She's
know
gonna stop
exactly
us.
what happened.
Martha.
I'm going to stop you. The
because
incident
she thinks she's got him. She's good. I got this high school debating tactic.
This
Okay,
is amazing.
I just want to establish they did not take over the whole city. That makes it okay. Here she goes.
were limited to a handful of apartment complexes, and the mayor said our dedicated police officers have acted on those concerns. A handful of problems.
A handful.
You know,
Only,
Jeffrey Dahmer
Martha,
Dahmer only ate a handful of people, and everybody makes a big deal about it.
A handful.
And we never shut up about it.
Your Honor, my client only ate a handful of people.
At least he was from America.
Hear yourself. Only a handful of apartment complexes.
And then she was like, "Oh, I didn't see that coming."
She cannot hear herself.
She can. The most unaware people in the world.
Like people got a cat, can't smell the cat box.
Okay, over to
Childless cat ladies can't smell their cat box. Much.
over to Steph.